guys, welcome back to another Discussions with Delinah. I'm not gonna lie, today has been a little bit rough. I had 2 nightmares last night that were pretty intense, so I was fairly tired today, and I didn't really have much motivation, and so I decided to take a midday nap and ended up having another nightmare. So physically I'm just kind of like all over the place because of that, but I did want to still do my Discussions with Delinah video because it is Thursday, and I don't know what has happened this week. I feel like this week has just been all over the place, so busy. So I hadn't gotten a chance to record it, and today I had the ability, just not the strength. So I wanted to push through because I know tomorrow I probably won't be able to, and yeah, Saturday is usually pretty hard, especially because I have a party this weekend to work for. So that being said, I'm going to jump right into it, and I feel like this topic kind of goes with what I'm feeling as well, so I feel like it's something I also need to hear. So the topic is God can deliver. And this one is going to be a little bit shorter, but that's okay. In times of crisis, it is pretty hard to feel like God can deliver. And it's really easy to feel like he can't. And to bolster your faith, in order to, feel a little bit more confident in God's abilities, which, again, his abilities speak for themselves. And that is what the Bible is for. His word shares everything that we need to know. And so to bolster your faith, consider these biblical accounts of when God has delivered his children through affliction. And there's so many more in the Bible that I have not even mentioned. One I was just reading yesterday, which I didn't include in here, but just popped in my head, is when he told Abraham, I believe, now I'm blanking, to sacrifice his son, and he was fully going to do it. And then I believe it was a wild boar. I could be very wrong on the animal, but basically an animal was in the woods that he was then able to sacrifice. Like, God is a God that is going to protect his children and is going to provide. And in 1 Samuel 17:37, David knew that he could defeat Goliath because God had already saved him from a lion and a bear. And God had given him the strength and the ability that he needed to defeat Goliath. And that's just one example. And that's a story that I heard growing up a lot. And I'm not going to lie, I always found it so interesting, especially because you hear about the fairy tale of, I believe it's Jack and the Beanstalk. And it always kind of reflects David and Goliath to me a little bit, very little bit. But there's so many more examples that are very similar to that, where God has taken his people and saved them from affliction. Like in Daniel's 3, and I'm going to mess up these names, I always do. Shadrach, Meshach, the middle one is the one I always mess up. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The 3 of them refused the king's etiquette to bow to the king's idol, and they continued to worship God even when they were told repeatedly not to. And it's so funny because I don't think I ever really heard that story, and the fact that it's also in Daniel is even crazier to me, because I definitely didn't realize that there were 2 very similar stories in Daniel. And I've heard it a lot in the past year, which makes me wonder what God is trying to tell me, even though I know it's just having consistent faith and not giving up and knowing that he's going to take care of you. But they were very adamant on the fact that their God is the God. They're going to continue to worship him regardless of what people say. And as a result, they were thrown into a fiery furnace heated 7 times hotter than normal. But God delivered them so completely from this ordeal that they didn't even smell like smoke. He even showed up with them in the fire. If I'm not mistaken, they had shown, sorry, I'm playing with my scrunchie. They had shown what it looked like in the furnace, and they saw that there was 4 people. But there was only 3 that they had brought in there. And again, Daniel is another huge example of God's willingness and ability to deliver, which again is why I find it so crazy that was in Daniel 3, and then the story of Daniel is more in Daniel 6. And it's one of the main stories, like I said, that I heard growing up, and it's also one that I always look back on. I feel like there's certain stories that you learn in Bible Sunday school and Bible studies and stuff that as a child sticks with you. And Daniel was a big one for me, and Jonah was another one. And David and Goliath was up there, but Daniel was definitely one that I feel like I knew that story fairly well. And the other day, my husband and I were talking about Daniel, and I started second guessing myself when I was trying to explain the story to him, and because he knows the story, but when you're reading different parts of the Bible, some of the foundational stuff that you learned when you were a kid, well, I don't know about everyone, but at least for me, when I start learning those like very, very, like unique stories, like the ones that aren't really talked about in the church that much, the ones that like I grew up with kind of get a little hazy, best way to put it. And so we were talking about it, and I was like, wait a minute, is that why he was thrown in there? No, wasn't it because, and then I started like really second guessing myself. But as a kid, that was one that I like held on to, because again, Daniel was thrown in the lion's den for praying to God. Same thing of he did not waver on the fact that this is my God is powerful. I'm going to do everything in my power to glorify my God, praise my God, regardless of what people say. And guess what? He was punished for it. Not thrown in a fire, but thrown with a lion. And he knew such deliverance that he came away from the whole ordeal completely unscathed, while his enemies were completely vanquished. And that's in Daniel 6. Do you notice a trend here? God is bigger than we could ever imagine. Like, he can deliver his children out of any circumstance. So know today that his power to deliver is bigger than any problem. Technical difficulties. Where was I? I know that it's very hard, especially in this economy and in this society, to truly feel like God is protecting all of us. Like, I know, like with the current administration and, talks of World War III and drafting and the financial situation of, gas prices and how expensive it is to get groceries. And I know that it becomes kind of this daily battle of, yes, I trust God for the bigger things, but these little things are getting to me. And again, I can't speak for everyone. I can only speak for myself. But that is how I feel a lot of times, where it's like, I have a roof over my head. I have a husband that loves me, that I love, that, loves the Lord. I go to an amazing church. And I have all of these bigger things handled. But it's the small things where it's like, oh, like, can I have enough money to go to this restaurant? Or is my body going to hold up to be able to do this Disney trip? Or the fact that, like, something just keeps breaking in my house. Like, my TV broke completely, like, no longer works, my TV in my bedroom. Right now, my blender just completely, like, I woke up this morning and I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you what was wrong with it. Mind you, I just used this blender 2 days ago. Like, I could not even tell you. I literally woke up to grab a granola bar and everything was soaked. And I was confused, only to find out that things were literally leaking from the base of my blender. Like, the electrical part of it. Anyways, that is neither here nor there. But yeah, like those little things where it's like, God, like, I get it, I'm taken care of, but why does my stuff keep breaking? I don't have money to replace it, And God truly is in both the little things and the big things. Like, he's not just there for you when it's convenient. He's not just there for you sometimes. Like, God is always there for us. Psalms 34:17-18 says, when the righteous cry for help, the Lord hears and delivers them out of all their troubles. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. Now, that does not necessarily mean the moment you pray, Lord God, fix this, suddenly all your problems go away. It's not what it means. And I don't know who I was talking to about that recently. I think it was on Tuesday when I went to young adults that, like, I think we were doing like small breakout groups after the message. And like reminding yourself that, yes, God is a good God. He's going to protect us. He's going to be there for us, and he's going to heal us. It's not always going to be in our timing. Our timing is so drastically different from God's timing, and his timing is perfect. Ours may not be. So that's something to remember too. Like, yes, God is always going to be there for you, and yes, God is going to be there for you in a crisis, but it doesn't mean that just because you pray, the crisis is automatically going to go away. There are so many storms that we face, and those storms produce perseverance. And if we demonstrate the fruit of the Spirit and we continue to turn to God and not give up during those storms and during those crises, that's where the true work begins. Romans 8:31 says, what then shall we say to these things? If God is for us, then who can be against us? What can harm us if God's protecting us? Another thing that we talked about on Tuesday was that Jesus intercedes for us in our prayers. And that was something I really needed to hear, because sometimes I pray and I'm just like, Lord, I know you hear me, but I'm not necessarily praying the right way. There's no right way to pray, because Jesus is interceding in all of our prayers, and he is being that one-on-one connection with God to help us. And so why should we fear anyone who plots against us? God is sovereign over all the forces of evil, because the spirit who lives in you is greater than the spirit who lives in the world, which is said in 1 John 4:4, sorry. And nothing can separate us from God's love, as shown in Romans 8:38-39. So let's trust that the Lord will fight our battles in our times of crisis. God, time and time again, has delivered his children from trouble, and he won't stop now. He won't fail to. He is more than able to deal with my situation, and he is more than able to deal with yours. So trust him in your times of crisis. Never lean away from him. Instead, when you feel like you are the most beaten, when you feel like you're at rock bottom, turn to him. And when you feel like you are the most victorious and you have everything in life that you could ever want, turn to him. Don't give up on him because he's not answering your prayers, and don't give up on him because you have everything that you need and you feel like you don't need him. We will always need God, regardless of who we are, regardless of what we do for work, regardless of how many kids we have. Does not matter what it is. God is always going to be the one by our side, and we have to continue to have him by ours. So that is it. I hope y'all enjoyed. I hope you have a fantastic Sunday and an even better week.